Okay, I just wanted to show you how easy it is to collect papers for your background. Obviously you can use, watercolor papers and different art papers, but if you're just kind of experimenting and you want to kind of create backgrounds to use on other things, it's really, it's a really cost-effective way of creating your background papers. Now, in here, what I've done is just collect, like this is just the piece of paper that is printed out when you change the cartridge in the printer. And obviously I can put this in recycling, but I can also use the paper. I've had to buy the paper, so why not use it? Cards, I've kind of created stuff on cards, where this was taken from the I went to the printers to see if they had any scrap paper that they were going to recycle anyway, and they gave me loads of these cards, and obviously it's from a job that this is the bit that's left over. And so all I've done is stamp a flower image on there, and I also took a spray bottle filled with paint, and I applied paint to it, and that's then gonna form the basis of something else. And I will show you some examples of what I used them for. So as I say, just get, this is lining paper. What I do to my desk is I put down some lining paper so that when I am, painting, any excess I can put on the lining paper, I can put on the paper, and then when I'm finished with it, I can then pick it up and use it for something else. So, put aside bits of paper, letters. I showed you in one of the videos, letters or things that I've printed off, even things that, papers that you've used. It's kind of like, this is paper that's got, squares on it, and I've used it as scrap to write something on, but that can actually be painted, and maybe the background, the lines in the paper can be used. And magazines is a good one. Another good one is, if I can find the book. Now this is an old John Lewis catalogue, and I've stuck some of the pages together, but I've also kind of used it as a journal. And I did so because the paper is actually, it's nice paper to work on, and when you paint it, even when you stick it together, it's kind of quite solid. And let me see if I can get a single sheet. It's actually quite nice paper, but also the imagery in some of them is quite nice, so I've utilised that as well. And so I've got two buckets, one with paper that is scrap that I can work on, that I can apply paint on, and then move it to the next stage. See, I've even got it's an old catalogue that I've cut up, but again, the paper's quite nice, and even some of these images I might use some of them in, say, mini cards or something like that. And this paper, the main body of the paper is a matte, but it will take paint quite well. So that's where the experimentation comes in. And then once I've actually applied, as you've seen, some sort of paint, this one was just used as scrap as a, where I was doing some spraying, and then this one was used to mask some of the areas. Again, I was just experimenting here. I'd printed this out. I decided that the paper was too thin to do the alphabets and to use it, but then what I did was I covered it in this is, I don't know whether you can see it, it's kind of like a glitter glue. And so in here comes all the paper then that I've actually utilised in some way. This is material, this is fabric, so you can also use fabric in terms of, using it in your art. experimenting with fabric. So this, when things, after things have, I've decided I want to use them, this is the stage where I start playing. This was just a letter, and as you can see I did some background colour, and then I've stamped create on it. But it's actually, it can be used in a, you know, a journal or a painting. And I also put in things, this was background paper that I'd stuck together. I did like a whole batch of them. Just trying to see if I've got, I did a whole batch of them, stuck them together after I'd cut them into strips, and then I did an image on one. But I haven't decided what I want to use this particular image for, and I just cut it out, and it's in here now ready to use for a project. So in here is all the bits of scrap that I've kind of, you know, scrap paper that I've used. I've sewn some, you know, and just applied paint. This was one of the bits of the lining paper that I've kind of added colour to it. And I like the colour because it's, you know, kind of a pastel colour. But as I say, you know, just experiment. Experiment away. And also, if you've got journals that you've kind of drawn pictures in, but like for me, my style's changed, but I want to kind of maybe use some of the imagery. And I'll be using some of these in a potential journal. Again, material. This is one of my son's old school uniform. And so I just took loads of them, cut them up, and just applied, this has been gessoed, and just applied paint. And see, you can, there's so much material that you've got available to you that it's worthwhile, you know, it's worthwhile kind of just playing around. This has been painted, and you don't need any specialist paint for any of these. You don't need specialist paint at all. You just need, you know, an idea and the willingness to take it forward. So these are all nice to be able to kind of write words on. Like this one, I've written restore the balance, and that will then either be used in a fabric project or a paper project, a journal, or whatever. Here's another it was a magazine, it's a catalogue, and I've just, you know, added colour, added glitter, used some of the tools that we have, and I was going to show you some. So this is sequin waist, comes in a roll. Basically what they do is they, you know, stamp out the designs, punch out the designs, and then they just sell this, roll it up and sell this. This is the stuff you get that you can put under things to stop them from moving, so it stops them from moving. Again, cards, you know, old credit cards. This is the things you use to separate tiles, but you know, you can use this as a painting surface. And again, just see what you've got in your house. You can even use masking tape, and you can apply that, you know, apply strips. You've got your paper, apply strips. You can apply the paint. I'm just going to dab it off just so that I can, there, and then, you know, when you take it off, you've got a pattern. So you've got lots of choice to be able to create your own papers. And then I was going to show you some tissue as well. You can use anything, so anything. This is baby wipes, hand wipes. What I did with this was I've stamped it, but you can use this in projects. You can use the tissue as well. You know, I could get like the sequin waist and make some nice effect. You can do the same to this, the baby wipe. You get some nice effects on there, and then I can still use this. It can be messy, but it's about playing. It's about playing. And then, you know, you're continuously creating shapes and colour. Let that dry, and that will be really nice in terms of, you know, visually it'll be really nice. So there you go. It's over to you now. You know, have a look around, see what you have, see what you can play with, see what you can come up with. Because this bit forms the foundation of all of our work. So I'll show you, these are some things that I created. So this is the card, and then I created some bookmark. You know, it holds messages in, like so. These are some of my favourite. Or, you know, in terms of what can be created with the card, that I sewed around the edges. This has got I'm going to be creating a book, so it's going to have be made from wood, like that. Out of the cards, I've also created mini books. See, the pages have been stamped. I haven't yet finished these, but I will do. Different mini books. These are made from paper as well. These are what I was looking for. For the material that's been used, you can create, you know, journals. You can paint on them. It takes paint quite well. You can sew them. I sewed these first together and then did just simple stitching. I'm gonna shade it there a bit, but you can, you know, add, you can write on it. This is glitter glue. So that's really just to give you an idea of some of the things you can do with the papers. You can also, if I can find one, you know, this was a background paper, and then I've put it on white card. This is 4x6. I've stamped on it, I've put embellishments on, and this is a quote. So this is a card that can be put in an envelope and given as a present. You know, it's the size for an envelope, and then, you know, you can write your message on the back, and then that goes in the envelope, and that's a really nice, you know, little gift that you can give to somebody. So yes, the challenge is now over to you. See what you can do.